When I, female 32, was 6, my mother died, and my dad grieved heavily, but eventually he moved on. He remarried Mai 5 years later, and she had a daughter from her previous marriage, Zany. Zany's father died of stage 4 pancreatic cancer, a very rapid onset, which was how my father and Maya bonded very quickly. It was hard for me, but I accepted the family blending. I thought it could only help after the void my mother left. However, soon it became clear who the favorite was. Zany was the golden child, and my dad was really vulnerable after my mom passed. He always gave the benefit of the doubt to Zany. She could throw tantrums and cry for whatever she wanted. I was never really neglected, but whenever there was a judgment, I was on trial as a girl who should do better, and she was a poor victim who lost a parent, as if I didn't. Fast forward, I got into college on a scholarship and lucked into a job because of one of my summer internships. Thanks to that connection, I got a decent apartment in my city. I was low contact with my parents recently, but I wanted to tell them I got my own place. They seemed really pleased for me. Then I got a call from Maya about how I have such an amazing place in our city. It's not amazing, it's just a decent part of the city, and how I must have so much space. I tried to respond non-committally, but she started to insist Zany could stay there for a few days, and I could help watch her kid. Apparently, Zany had a baby recently, but as the child grew, it was clear her husband was not the father, and it's a hot mess. She said it was the right thing to let her stay over, but I said no. I wasn't equipped for that, and I can't be expected to take care of an infant. She started screaming at me, saying we were family, and this was what you were supposed to do, but I hung up. My parents called a few times, but I left them on voicemail. Am I the idiot for not letting my sister stay with me? I just don't feel I should automatically give in. I should explain Maya cannot take Zany in because Zany has issues and Maya uses benzos on prescription. She's a known thief. She stole my engagement ring and destroyed my relationship with my parents, so I don't want her here. Not the idiot. Wow, the narcissism is strong with your stepmother. Maya can take her in. The benzos are just an excuse. She can hide her medication easily enough. Your stepsister is an adult. If her own mother won't house her for a flimsy excuse, but expects you to, that speaks volumes. The point is, it's just an excuse to pawn her off onto you without regard to how it will affect you. So they don't feel guilty? She's already stolen from you your engagement ring? Who does that? And presumably your parents, dad and stepmom. The med issues is a weak excuse. You are not the idiot, and I pray you hold your ground. Zany's not a sister or a friend to you. You didn't even know she had a baby, so you aren't even really acquaintances anymore. 100%, Zany will just wait until mom's purse is unattended and snatch the meds. What does your fiancé or husband think of having her move in? I can't imagine he'd want a troubled thief with a baby living with him. He has a right to feel safe in his home too, as do you. Stepsister's situation is entirely her own. She and her mother can deal with it and leave you out of it. Enjoy your job and apartment. I am sure a stepsister with a low moral fiber would hit on OP's fiancé. Please, for the love of yourself, stand your ground. I would allow one conversation with your father on the condition he didn't say a word until you've said all you need to say to him, including the fact that Zany might have lost her father. Still, you lost your mother and him, your father, when he started prioritizing his stepdaughter over you, his child. Due to his choices, you were orphaned emotionally. If your father doesn't handle your reality well, you'll know how to proceed contact-wise. Put your mental health first, and at a minimum, go no contact with your steps. Good luck, OP. I, 37 male, had been with my wife since our senior year in high school. We have 6 kids, pre-tweens to teens. I work Monday through Friday, 14 hours 3 days a week, 12 hours 2 days. My wife is a stay-at-home mom. Before I get the hate comments I've seen in the past, I am incredibly grateful. On my days off, I take the kids out, and my wife has the day to herself, or she goes out, and I handle chores. I always remind my wife I'm grateful and take her out on date nights a few times a month on my days off. My sister comes by and helps out some days throughout the week. We had a financial crisis earlier this year, which resulted in me having these extra hours. It's essential. 4 of our kids do extracurriculars that we have to pay for and other necessities. My wife has recently been asking me to cut back hours, which has been causing arguments because it's simply impossible at the moment. We have young twins, and earlier this week they got the flu, which spread throughout our home and had the kids home from school for most of the week. I could not call off, but it left my wife extremely stressed out. One of our children has autism, and when they're sick, it's a very big crisis in the house with tantrums. I felt horrible, but I couldn't call out. Today, my wife shouted at me for over an hour for refusing to take less hours because she's so stressed. She said I get to escape at work, and she has a household to run. I tried to explain that I'd love more than anything to be at home more, but I couldn't. But she continued yelling, saying that I was the problem. Am I the idiot? Everyone's the idiot here. Honestly, it sounds like you're both living in a nightmare. Dude, if your wife is in the hospital with a breakdown, that'll require you to take off work and be a financial burden. Something needs to give. You may have to look at dropping the extracurricular activities you pay for and look at free activities, going over your budget to see if there's any way for you to cut hours. Otherwise, maybe paying a sitter for a few hours a week to give your wife a break, or a mother's helper so it's less expensive. OP's delusional. Extracurriculars are not necessities. A burnt-out caregiver, especially to a kid with special needs, is a dangerous thing. She's asking you for help. You need to hear her, OP. Having 6 kids is so much work, and she's doing it alone, essentially. She shouted at you for an hour. That lady doesn't have an hour to spare. That's how serious it is. You are the idiot. The dude works 64 hours a week and is still coming home to do chores and relieve mom. The problem is not that he needs to help out at home more. The problem is mom has champagne taste on a beer budget. Let's not pretend she's single-handedly raising the family. They'd all be on the street without him. She said I get to escape to work, and she has a household to run. Yeah, that's the gig. That's literally the division of labor for stay-at-home parent families. 64 hours a week doesn't sound like an escape to me. That sounds like a nightmare. The standard work week is 35 hours, excluding lunch. He's effectively doing 2 jobs. I mean, yeah, can he do 3 jobs and look after the kids too? Get the snip, dude. Do not make things harder by adding to your brood. My husband, 35, and I, 30 female, are married with 2 amazing toddler sons. He's an amazing husband and father. We're equally involved in childcare, and he's more the primary caregiver than I am, until recently at least. 9 months ago, our lives were turned upside down when his ex contacted him and told him that he had a tween daughter. He was absolutely devastated to find out that he had a daughter he'd never known about. Like, it crushed him. He and his ex had a very toxic relationship and a really rough breakup, and up until recently, she had told her daughter and her family and friends that my husband had abandoned her upon learning she was pregnant. Being a father is the thing he values most, and it's something he's always deeply wanted, and there is no scenario where he would have done that, and he's livid. His daughter is also furious with her mom, and for good reason. Since then, we've gotten very involved in her life. At first, it started with visits after the paternity test, phone calls, then her staying a few weekends until my husband officially asked for custody, and his ex gave us 50-50. It was finalized a month ago. I think, honestly, she'd give us more if she could. I'm pretty sure she reached out to us because her mom passed away and her dad had dementia, and she needed someone to raise her daughter since, from the sounds of it, her parents were doing just that. My stepdaughter is an incredibly sweet and lovely girl who's amazing with her little brothers. Still, she is very emotional, needy, and struggling at school, which is incredibly understandable. My husband is going above and beyond to try and take care of her in every possible way. They've gotten extremely close extremely fast. I know that both of them are struggling with that lost time and are overcompensating and trying to make up for it, but it's affected his parenting of our sons. He spends far more time on and with her, and I've had to pick up a ton of the slack in childcare, and the boys are starting to notice and ask about it. When it's our weeks, they spend a ton of time, just the two of them, going out and doing things. Our eldest son cried last time because he felt excluded, and my husband did feel bad and promised we'd do more as a whole family. But even on the weeks when we don't have her, he'll drop everything to FaceTime her. I'm trying to be understanding, but it's been a lot. And last night when he went to FaceTime her and asked me to do bedtime instead, I told him he just couldn't neglect our sons because he has a long-lost daughter. He blew up at me, telling me I wasn't being fair, and it's not like it's going to be like this forever. But right now, he needs to show her that he's there for her, and I just need to cut him some slack. He basically never gets angry and has since apologized for yelling, but not for what he said, and he's been pretty cold. I do feel pretty bad for telling him he was neglecting the boys, since I know he feels a ton of guilt for not being there for her, even though it's not his fault. And I think that's likely where the blow-up came from. I just can't decide if I'm being an idiot for being irritated at him. So am I the idiot? I think this is a tough situation. He can't make up for those years. They aren't even years where he was inattentive. He literally didn't even know she existed. That's pretty serious. The ex is definitely the idiot in this situation. He and his daughter need to get to know each other. He should FaceTime her when she's at her mom's. They should be doing activities together, just the two of them. That said, he shouldn't be neglecting his sons or having them take the back seat. They also should get to know their sister. So there should be family time and family outings when she's there. And when she's not, he needs to give his son special time too, together and or separately, to make sure they know they aren't getting replaced. It's a rough situation that just requires patience, finesse, and lots of love. Yeah, but he is trying to make up for lost time. And unfortunately, because he's been very involved with his daughter, they will notice the change. And they will remember that daddy stopped paying attention to them when a new sister showed up. Unfortunately, he had to play his cards right to be fair to all his kids. Not the idiot. OP, tell your husband it was your kids who complained. You're simply letting him know of the problem. He's setting himself up to have a messed up relationship with all three kids. The boys will continue to feel abandoned and neglected by their sudden sister and grow resentful. If he responds by trying to back up on the sister and refocus on the boys, the girl will feel abandoned as she's no longer getting the attention she's been used to since dad became a part of her life, leading to resentment. Your husband's going to destroy all of his relationships. There's so much to navigate here. My brother and his wife are temporarily living with us because his house caught fire because his wife microwaved silverware. I'm okay with them staying over as long as they follow my limited rules. I only ask them to clean up after themselves and respect how I parent my kids. I mainly included the second rule for my sister-in-law. Yesterday, my son stayed home from school because he was sick. Everyone but my sister-in-law was at work or school because she doesn't have a job. My sister-in-law constantly criticized my son because his long hair makes him look like a girl. She decided to cut his hair while he was sleeping, and he was devastated. When I got home, he told me what happened, and I told her she had a week to leave before I called the police. She told me that wasn't fair, since she did him a favor. She said people would make fun of him for having long hair, even though it's never happened in his 3 years in high school. I told my brother he could stay if he wanted to, because he had nothing to do with it. Everyone except my mother and sister-in-law agrees with me, but they call me an idiot because I unfairly kicked out my sister-in-law. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but really, don't even give her a week. She should get only 24 hours of immediately kicked out. You're gonna let your son spend a week with a person who assaulted him? This lady is stupid and entitled. Good luck to your bro. If you didn't kick her out, your son would never trust you again. You're very generous to give her a whole week. If someone did that to my kid, their things would be out on the lawn within the hour. or less. Tons of people have long hair. It's not a feminine or masculine trait. It just is. Is she going to sneak into the bedrooms of women with short hair and glue hair extensions onto them so they don't get made fun of for being masculine? Poor kid. I would have had her leave that day. Wait, she said people would make fun of him for having long hair, even though it never happened in his 3 years in high school? Sister-in-law's actions were bad enough when I thought it was a young kid, but this is a teenager in high school? Like, what the heck? A teenager has the right to their hair and how it looks, and could connect to bullying equals hairstyle if they want it, and if that was happening. Yes, it is fair to boot her out of the house. Have her escorted out after you file charges. That's creepy. She's weird. Few people will cut teenagers' hair while they sleep. It sounds like her mental health is lacking right now. She thinks touching people doesn't require consent. And what if she intentionally microwaved silverware at your house during this week you're giving her? Update. I didn't call the cops before because I didn't think I could press charges since I had no proof. I called the cops an hour after I posted, after seeing so many people say that I should. It took the police about 30 minutes to arrive. She told the police that she cut his hair because she didn't think it was illegal. I stayed home from work today to keep an eye on my son, so he and I are the only ones who know she got arrested at the moment. I don't think she knew she put silverware in the microwave, but then again, she didn't think she committed a crime, so maybe she thought it would be fine. I, 28 female, am getting married in a few months, and I'm having a fairly formal indoor wedding ceremony and reception. My friend Lisa, 26 female, has a dog named Max that she adores. Max is a lovable but highly energetic German Shepherd. Recently, Lisa asked me if she could bring Max to my wedding. She argued that he was part of her family, and she couldn't imagine leaving him alone all day. She wants him to be a part of our special day. I love Max and understand her attachment, but I was hesitant. I explained that our venue doesn't allow pets, and it's a formal event. We have lots of guests who might not be comfortable around dogs, and I don't want any potential disruptions during the ceremony or reception. Lisa got upset and accused me of being inconsiderate. She said she'd keep Max on a leash and ensure he doesn't bother anyone. I insisted that we follow the venue's rules, but Lisa won't drop it. Now she's threatening not to attend the wedding because Max can't be there. Am I the idiot for telling my friend she can't bring her dog to my wedding, even though it means she might not attend? Good grief, not the idiot. If she doesn't attend, she doesn't attend. That's on her. This is a completely inappropriate request. Max is a pet, not a service animal. She must make arrangements by leaving him with a friend, a family member, or a boarding facility. Give her a gift card for a local therapist. Lisa needs help. Does Mr. Wiggles get a seat at the table for the reception? Who sits on Mr. Wiggles' other side? I hope to have a good conversation with him. Jumping Jesus on a pogo stick. What the heck has gotten into people? Who the heck brings a dog to a wedding? Boy, if she's incapable of being away from him for a day, she needs to get mental health help. That is an entirely unreasonable request. I've never heard of a guest bringing a dog to a wedding, especially a formal indoor ceremony. There are lots of members of her family. Should all of them be included? My sister's my best friend, and I'm very close to her, but that doesn't mean I get to bring her to everything. LOL. If she doesn't go to your wedding, that's on her.